Welcome back to teleSUR English. Now we go live to Havana, Cuba, as the President of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, continues his official Latin American tour and pays an official visit to the Caribbean nation. Now, as we see, the President of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, stands to receive his counterpart, Ebrahim Raisi, in this official ceremony next to the official guard, or a representation of the official guard of Cuba's National Revolutionary Forces and the army forces. This is the third stop of Ebrahim Raisi in this Latin American tour that saw him going to Venezuela priorly on Monday. Then he was received by the president of that nation, Nicolás Maduro Moros, and they had several common projects and signed cooperation agreements. Also, the president of Iran toured the city of Caracas, went to historical venues, to cultural places, and also had an encounter, had a moment to dialogue with the youth in the Teresa Carreño Theater. In the main hall of the Teresa Carreño Theater there, the youth packed the hall and had this moment to dialogue with the president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, who asked to being close to the youth of Venezuela. Also, in his second stop in Managua, in Nicaragua, the president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, had a meeting with his counterpart, Daniel Ortega, and also with other high and top officials of Nicaragua. There he had a moment to address the National Assembly of Nicaragua, where he referred to the characteristics of the new multipolar world and how these sanctioned nations, how these nations that had to face imperialism and hegemony, they had been resilient and appealing to resistance to overcome these difficulties, these liabilities, and to succeed and to thrive despite the hostile efforts by the West and by the US against them. Also, in that moment, the presidents, both presidents, Iran's head of state, Ebrahim Raisi, and Nicaragua head of state, Daniel Ortega, they signed cooperation agreements, and also they review bilateral ties. They assessed bilateral common projects as the president of Iran also enhanced cooperation. And this is not only cooperation in geopolitics. This is not cooperation in terms of what had to offer politically Iran to the region. It's also a way to enhance cultural ties, to get better known each other because of the distances and because of the media narratives that have been saturating both nations and both regions. In this case, they have also signed cooperation agreements in agriculture, education, in the health field, and this is one of the main fields in the cooperation agreements because of the development of Cuban vaccines, the development of Iranian strategies in health, and how those nations that have been facing these sanctions have overcome this situation with the COVID-19 pandemic, despite the sanctions and despite all the blockades, making their own vaccines, making their own medical supplies, and enhancing resilience and enhancing own self-reliance strategies in all these fields. They also have signed cooperation agreements in education, as there must be projects between universities to bring students to know better the academies of both countries and both regions. Also, these cooperation agreements have been enhancing solidarity in terms of agriculture, of food production, and also trade and finance, as this region, Latin American region, and Iran, they are trying to be self-reliant in terms of their currencies, to enhance their currencies and to enhance trade and to find alternatives in this new world that they are trying to build. In this new world they are trying to bring forward. They are trying to find alternatives to the dollar and alternatives to the currencies and the financial hegemony of the European Union, of other Western countries, and especially the United States. The president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, is traveling accompanied by his top officials delegation. He is accompanied by his wife, the First Lady of Iran, and also the ministers of foreign relations, the trade minister, and the ministers of other portfolios that can comprehend health, agriculture, education, and other fields that have been on the top of the agenda of this visit and this Latin American tour of the President of Iran. Let's recall also this tour falls in line with different visits by these Latin American leaders to Iran. In this case, the president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, he was back in Iran in late 2022 as he was visiting Eurasia, making an Eurasian tour, and also the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, at the invitation of several heads of state of Eurasia, also made a tour back in June 2022 when he visited Iran, Algeria, Russia, Turkey, and he bolstered and enhanced bilateral ties in the region. Those were live images of the arrival of the president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, to this official welcoming ceremony by the president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, at the Palace of the Revolution. We will have more details in upcoming news briefs regarding this Latin American tour of the president of Iran. Stay with us.